I was scrolling on TikTok and there was a news story that looked like a local news story. Okay. Yeah. And it looked like a clip from local news. And it was a local news story about how in Chicago, the homeless are now putting tents on top of city buses. And it was images of tents pitched on city buses. And it had the detail that there were little bricks and heavy things weighing down the tents. Yeah. It was obviously, to my mind, it was obviously AI generated. Yeah. It was total AI fabrication. Sure. But it looked unnervingly like a real story. And I just thought, well, I see this for what it is. But like, who made this and why? And where is this going to go? And I was just like, I was looking into a very dark future. Totally. Present when I saw it. I was like, whoa.
I think what the competition does to the consumer is one thing. What it does to the creator is also interesting. Like I wrote this book about Gawker a few years ago, and I was fascinated by like what happens to people when you put them in a room and then you put up a big screen and you say, hey, the person who is at the top of this leaderboard gets the most money, right? It turns the reporting of the news into a video game and then naturally desensitizes them to the idea that they're writing about real people in the real world that have real feelings. And I think even Nick Denton has started to talk about, some of his regrets about that. And we saw where that ended. But what I thought was so interesting, because the book was largely about Peter Thiel sort of lashing back against that, is how it's fascinating to me that is what happened to sort of right-wing media culture, particularly on Twitter and X. Like it's become about engagement. And you see them post the graphs of how much their engagement goes up or down. They're not like, hey, am I providing a service? Hey, am I saying things that are true? They've really taken, in the way that Gawker took gossip and turned it into this video game, they've kind of took the American political narrative and our shared sort of values and turned that into a game. And it's obviously made many of them quite monstrous.
Yeah. And, I write in the book about Willy Loman and Death of a Salesman and why he's this sort of enduring figure, right? And he's, he can't get people to pay attention to him, and his wife, sternly tells his sons, attention must be paid. He's a human being. Yeah. And that, in some ways, and I say this, you make content, I make content, it makes Willy Lomans of us all. And you see, not just at the lowest level of the kind of churn of like trolls on Twitter, but up to literally the most powerful people in the world, no exaggeration. Elon Musk and the President of the United States are both people who are clearly deeply in the grips of the incentive structure of going through life seeking attention.
They have billions of dollars in nuclear weapons, and just like a regular person, they're like, hey, how did that tweet do?
Exactly right. It's truly, there's something so wild about it. But yes, that point you make, yes, it does something to the audience and the consumer. It does something to the creator. And that's why, all incentives, like the opposite of that world, right, which is like tenured professor, where your sort of compensation is guaranteed basically for the rest of your life and relies not at all on attention.
Yeah.
If 5 people, read it, that's fine.
Yeah.
And they have their own attention markets, obviously, in academia, but it's like, one of the things I think about a lot is like any institutional setting is going to have some set of incentives that can become perverse.
Yes.
And kind of what you need is, you don't want monoculture. Yeah. You want ecosystems, right? For intellectual life, for creative life, like you want different forms of these institutions and incentives producing different kinds of creation.
Yes.
Some of which might be like, it might be good to have some people who are like chasing those short-term clicks and some people who like don't care, that's really the key to me, to like something that seems remotely healthy.
Well, I think about this as a creator, right? Like I primarily identify as a writer of books, so an author. So I sit down and I think about something for many years. I work on it. It's long form and it comes out all at once. And, you know, it has to be good enough that people would pay for it. Then at the same time, you know, you make content and you go, okay, we got to make this video about this thing. And by the way, people, if they're not hooked in the first 1 second, they're not going to watch it. And in some way, those are mutually exclusive ways of creating and thinking. On the other, they can make you better at both, right?
Totally.
Like,
yes.
Because a lot of authors are fucking boring and entitled, and they just assume they have unlimited time and space, and then they're hurt that no one's interested. And it's like, you didn't do the work. Like you're competing with not just television and other forms of entertainment, but you're just competing with the fact that people are busy and they don't think that they're interested in ancient philosophy. And if you want them to be, you have to make them interesting. And then also like, hey, how do you use these algorithms and not let it melt your brain and make terrible stuff? How do you use it to put good things through it? So I do think it can't, you're right. If there's a diversity of it, it can make everything better. And if a set of incentives or a set of norms takes over, then you're kind of captured and all you get is whatever that set of incentives optimizes for.
Yeah, you get this kind of invasive species, you know, strangling of the ecosystem, which I think we all feel in different ways. And I completely agree with that.